that, let's move on and get the next company on the radar. Apollo Hospitals is what we're tracking now. And the company delivered quite a robust performance for the fourth quarter. It was very much in line with street estimates. Improvement was seen in margins as well as in occupancy levels. Let's talk about this performance and the outlook. We have with us Ms. Suneeta Reddy, Managing Director at Apollo Hospitals, joining in. Ms. Reddy, good morning. Always a pleasure to have you on the call. And it's been a strong finish to the year. I mean, I think across parameters, whether it's occupancy, RPOB, margins, you've been above street estimates. Let's talk with, some sort of a, outlook as well. Can these levels, for instance, occupancy, we were at, I think, about 67% at the end of the fourth quarter. So do you see it kind of stabilizing here? What about RPOBs? What's your outlook?
No, I think in terms of occupancy, we're nowhere near stabilizing. There is headroom for improvement, and we are targeting between 70 to 72%. Having said that, our metro occupancy is already at 71%. So we will push metro occupancy to 75% and system-wide move to 71%.
Okay, all right. So that's at the occupancy level.
With regard to RPOB, clearly we showed a 7% increase in RPOB, and that is the trend going forward. It is a mix of tariff increase as well as case mix. So with these, as the third element of it, of course, is payer mix. So we're quite sure that we can continue with the 7% increase in RPOB.
Okay, so you'd expect a similar sort of an increase this year in FY26?
Yes.
About overall 7% in RPOB as well?
Yes.
Okay, got that, ma'am. And this increase would be, again, would it be largely tariff-led, or would it be because of the higher-end robotic, etc., those high-end surgeries?
So there was a 10% increase in volumes in the higher-end surgeries that we call Congo. And this has been reflected in the RPOB moving upwards. And going forward, it will continue to be a factor that will improve RPOB as well as some amount of tariff increase.
Okay, got that. So 7% increase in RPOB to be expected in FY26 as well. What about the international patient business, ma'am? I mean, how did that play out in the fourth quarter and the disruption that we've been seeing in Bangladesh?
Yeah.
I mean, to what extent was it still impacting?
Yes, I think Bangladesh definitely had a 2% impact over the whole year, and which is why, international patient revenues did not meet our expectations. But going forward, we have really diversified our risk. We are looking at new markets and do believe that we can move back to 7% of total revenues in the coming year with international patients.
Okay, let's also talk about Apollo 24/7 as well as HealthCo. In 24/7, I think the GMV was up 11%, and you've guided for a break-even by the second half, I think, of the current year, FY26. If you could just elaborate on that, and then also your projections for HealthCo this year.
So I think HealthCo did very well because if you look at offline and online, there was a 17% growth in the offline pharmacies. More importantly, the margins grew by the EBITDA grew by 21% to 160 crores and giving us a margin of 7.8%. So this was extremely helpful. Online revenue grew to 292 crores and, it grew by 22%. And while this was not profitable, because there was also an ESOP charge, net EBITDA for Apollo HealthCo came in at 36 crores and a 9 crore profit. So that is a significant part that as we move towards 1,000 crore GMV per quarter, both the digital, it will definitely become far more profitable. Right now, as a company, Apollo HealthCo is profitable. Margins are looking strong. They're currently at 1.5% margin, with offline doing, extremely improving in sales. So they do about 900,000 sales per day. So transaction volumes have picked up. Asset utilization has picked up, and of course, we've added new pharmacies.
Okay, all right. So that business, you're sounding quite optimistic on that as well.
Yes.
On diagnostics, ma'am, the top line grew 9%,
Yeah.
but there was some margin pressure in the fourth quarter. So what happened there, and was it just a one-quarter phenomena? Because I think this year the street is expecting from the diagnostics business a margin improvement of as much as 300 basis points. So are those expectations well-founded?
No, I think that, yeah, the diagnostic revenue was only 198 crores for the quarter. There was an impact on two fronts. I think in terms of margin being at 9%, a significant amount of the volumes came from AHL Apollo Healthco, and therefore a slight dilution in margin. The second part of it is that they shifted from a franchisee model. They're in the process of shifting from franchisee to ownership model. And I think the results of that will play out over the next year, where you can expect to see both revenue grow as well as margin improvement.
Okay. All right. Ms. Reddy, let's talk about the capex plans for this year. I mean, specifically FY26, because you're putting a lot of money to work.
Yes.
I mean, you've stated that it's 6,000 crores of an expansion plan over the next 3-4 years. You're adding, I think, over 4,300 beds. So specifically this year, what's the kind of capex outlay and which are the geographies? I believe there could be a hospital coming up very close to us where we are, Worli in Mumbai as well.
Yes, I really want to get close to you. So
Lovely.
We are looking at a 3,000 crore expansion this year with several hospitals coming on stream. We should have at least 1,500 beds opening out. Wadley is not happening. It will take post the rains. We'll start work in Wadley, but we do have. We've acquired a hospital in Bangalore, which is a 150, 180 bed hospital. We've acquired land next door, so we will have 150 beds coming this year from Bangalore. We'll have another 170 beds coming from Hyderabad, an expansion of 200 beds in Gachibowli, which is part of Hyderabad. In Kolkata, 250 beds, out of which 150 will become operational. In Delhi, in Defence Colony, about 40 beds will open out. And Gurgaon, in the last quarter of the year, 200 beds will be ready. Pune, we have 250 beds opening out. So clearly, we're looking at 1,500 beds opening by the last quarter of the year, and a capex of 3,000 crores for this year. As you know, we have free cash flows, we have money in the bank, and are adequately funded for this expansion.
Okay. Got that. Final question, Ms. Reddy, on overall sense on medical inflation and what are you expecting this year? What kind of medical inflation should patients be ready for? And also just your thoughts. I mean, on a side note, there is a different model that, some of the industry players are trying out. I'm talking about PB Fintech. I mean, they're trying out a different healthcare foray. I mean, the idea is to try and bridge the difference in perhaps in objectives of a hospital company and an insurance company, a health insurance company. So just your thoughts on overall medical inflation and expectations on that front.
So medical inflation was at 4.5%. And I think that we're able to absorb that medical inflation. In terms of what you just mentioned, the model to really something like a subscription model. I think that currently in Apollo Healthco, we have an insurance offering. We've tied up with 4 players. We're just launching that this year. But with this insurance product, we will be able to look after, people don't worry about how they pay for their healthcare. And I think that is the most important step. The different ways of doing this, one, of course, is a subscription model. But I think we're looking at both aspects of it. But having a digital model and bringing it closer to the consumer and also showing them a way in which they can pay for healthcare, creating that environment, the ecosystem around the consumer. I think Apollo has, the ability to look after communities. We have large networks, so they were ahead of the game.
Okay, that's very interesting, ma'am. And now that the earnings are out of the way, maybe we can have you back on. I mean, this requires a deeper conversation and understanding.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on for this one.
And looking forward to you moving closer to us.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.